is a procedure that intervenes after a complaint or control. Formal notice is a procedure that intervenes after a complaint or control. But it does not constitute a sanction. It does not constitute a sanction. Whatever. It's distinguished from a simple warning. It's distinguished from a simple warning. In fact, the president of the CNIL may ward the data owner or their processor, may ward a data owner or their processor of the fact that the planned processing operations, are likely to violate the provisions of the GDPR or the 1978 law. The 1978 law. Of course, but I don't insist on this case, you have a formal notice procedure described by the national law. It's not the most important point. I think it's better to talk about the most frequent reasons for formal notices. What are the most frequent reasons for formal notices? As an example, it's non-compliance with relevance, or with information, so non-compliance in both, with relevance or with information. It's collection of sensitive data. Collection of sensitive data without prior consent. Collection of sensitive data without prior consent, or non-compliance with security. Or commercial prospecting, or proper commercial prospecting, or as an example of unlawful transfer of data. Unlawful transfer of data to the United States of America. To the United States. Transfer of data to the United States. Okay. That the third procedure between all the oversight procedure by the CNIL. This is the oversight procedure in cooperation. Oversight procedure of in cooperation. This is new. This is a new processing with the GDPR. This is development of a one-stop shop mechanism. One-stop shop mechanism when GDPR violations, development of one-stop mechanism when GDPR violations are cross-border within the EU. Within the EU. So in this case, when personal data cross the internal borders on the Union, on the EU, when personal data cross the external borders of the EU, that may increase the risk that persons may not be able to exercise their rights. That may increase that natural persons may not be able to exercise their rights. And so, to protect themselves, natural person, of course, to protect themselves against the harmful use of disclosure of that information, a corporate conducting investigation, has been created for to be over a lack of resources, For that, and for the GDPR, of course, it's necessary to promote closer cooperation. It's necessary to promote closer cooperation between data protection supervisory authority, to help them exchange information. It's necessary to promote closer cooperation between data protection supervisory authorities to help them exchange information and conduct investigation with their international counterparts. So, this is finally a cooperation between the supervisory authorities of the countries concerned by unlawful by an unlawful use. The GDPR enhance how it works. And it may be possible joint operations of supervisory authorities. It may be possible the joint operations of supervisory authorities, and this is cooperations cases. This is cooperation cases. Which one? Which supervisory authority is competent? The GDPR said that the supervisory authority that launched the procedure in cooperation is the first where the unlawful use happened. Is the first one where the unlawful use has happened. And after, more than one other supervisory authority joined the first, further proceeding. Okay, I don't have time to explain in details how it works. It's very technical, right? Very technical point, because of course, whatever it's in the EU, each supervisory authority follow for its proceedings, for its procedures, follow his own rules. So, the cooperation try to manage a way to permit a single pursuit against the controller. I will not go further, even if whatever it's a very technical regulation. So now we have to talk about in this first section of the ultimate point, the point 3. The point 3 is about the current regime of administrative sanctions. The current regime of administrative sanctions. You remember before the break, you remember that I said that the sanctions were low, and the amount of penalties can be considered as derisory. In fact, can be considered as derisory, not for all the controllers, surely, but derisory for the companies and almost the GAFA, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and other big digital companies as known as everybody. So, because of that, the GDPR has changed the rules and changed the penalties. The penalties they are now stronger, very stronger. But you know that, of course, when you create new sanctions in the same times, the procedures are revisited. And the GDPR expose some rights for the control and processors during the procedures. As an example, this is the right to defend. Innocent times too. The rights for individuals are rewritten by the GDPR to protect them, of course, from the powers. Maybe I should say sometimes of the heavy powers, the powers of the controllers and the processors. As an example, to not be make science on this point, the data subjects shall have the right to mandate a non-profit body organization. The data subjects shall have the right to mandate a not-for-profit body organization, not-for-profit body organization or associations which has been properly constituted, in accordance with the national law, the state member law. anyway, in French law, some associations have been created for. And sometimes they permit to defend pro bono. I don't know if you know what means pro bono. Pro bono, it's written like this. You know what it is? It means freely. Freely of easier. So it permits some association to defend pro bono some people, some subject, data subject against companies. But the most important things revisited by the GDPR. The most important things is the new regime of sanctions. The new regime of sanctions. Of course, some law principles are applied to the imposition of sanctions. Some law principles are applied to the imposition of sanctions. As an example, administrative fines must, in each case, administrative fines must be in each case effective, proportionate and dissuasive. Of course, too, the total amount of the administrative fine, shall not exceed the amount specified for the gravest infringement. Of course, too, there is application of the principle of personalization, application of the principle of the personalization of penalties. So, what are the amounts? Remember, I said that the amounts were very low in the previous regime of sanctions. Were very low, and now the amount of sanctions has grown in a way to be dissuasive for the companies. What are the fine? Except in cases where the processing is implemented by the states, implemented by the state, and administrative fine not exceeding you have an idea? You have an idea? If you consider that before it was 150,000 euros. Does anybody have an idea? No one? No one of you? You can write it in the chat. But I know you are not shy. Okay. Nobody has an idea or no? So,
Excuse me, Professor, could you come again, please?
Sorry, can you repeat?
What is your question again, please?
My question is to know from you, what is the new amount of the penalty? Considering that the previous amount was only 150 euros. How much can be now the new amount?
It can be guessed or just an exact amount.
But how much?
Maybe 5% of turnover.
I will be back on the question of percentage, because you're right to talking about this question. No, I just wanted for this time just an amount, not yet a percentage. But you're right on this question. Not 5, but you're right. Have you an idea about the difference between before I said 150 euros only, and now? You don't have any, so okay. So now an administrative fine not exceeding 10 million euros. 10 million euros. And in the case of an undertaking, 2% of the total worldwide annual turnover, 2% of the total worldwide annual turnover of the preceding financial year, 2% of the total worldwide annual turnover of the preceding financial year, and you see of the new rule is heavy, because it's followed by whichever is higher. So if 2% is below the 10 million euros roof, it will be the amount calculated within the 3%. In the case, and it goes further now, in the case of a corporation concerning the security of state or defense, in the case of security of state or defense, or in the case of the suspension of data flows, in the case of the suspension of data flows to a recipient in a third country, the suspension of data flows to a recipient in a third country, or to an international organization or to an international organization these previous limits are increased. How much? It's not 10 million euros, it's 20 millions euros. So we passed the 10 to 20 million euros. And 4%, not 5, 4% of the state turnover. And exactly as the same, whichever is higher. Whichever is higher. Though, of course, it can be much more, very much more, than 20 million penalty, 20 million fine. More. The GDPR permits the supervisory authority to block a service which not respect the data protection, the personal protection. As an example of blocking, during the procedure, so it's temporarily, of course, as an example of blocking during a procedure, temporarily blocking, you can see all the decisions of the Italian supervisory authority, which in several decisions has blocked the service of OpenAI. The service of OpenAI. And what is the service of OpenAI? Is ChatGPT. So, what I'm going to tell you is that in Italy, during the administrative procedure, because of ChatGPT does not comply with the European data protection, because of ChatGPT does not comply with the European data protection, it's temporarily limited and blocked. Concerning the penalty, I can give you a few decisions as examples, of unlawful use. I can give you some examples of unlawful use of data protection. Example, after the beginning of application of the GDPR. Remember I said that the GDPR that you know now from the 27 April 2016, the GDPR is applied since the 25 May of 2018, so May 2018. At this time, you must know that the CNIL declare let the controllers and the processors let them apply the GDPR without sanctioning them, because the CNIL say that GDPR needs a period for being applied. Okay. Whatever, in this period that went along 2018, during this period, of course, the CNIL made control without sanctioning, made control and have discussions with certain companies to let them apply correctly the GDPR, to let them apply correctly the GDPR. Whatever, one of them did not apply the GDPR, and this is the case of a famous company known as the name of Uber for driving, for eating. In fact, no, I went to Cambodia, so I can find the equal of Uber in Cambodia. It's like Grab for you. But Uber is not only French, it's an international company. Grab too, but Grab is always in Southeast Asia. Uber, you can find it in the United States, of course. You can find it in Europe, all over Europe. You can't find Grab in Europe. Uber was condemned to pay a financial penalty with an early decision of December 2018. Early decision of 2018. It was not too much money because it was a fine of 400,000 euros. 400,000 euros of penalty. But you can see it's not a big penalty, but it's over. It's over the previous amount of 150,000 euros. Since this time, many companies has been sanctioned. You have an early decision in January 2019. So only a few weeks after the one concerning Uber, you have decision of January 2019 concerning Google, and it was the first real big penalty decided by the CNIL, the first big penalty decided by the CNIL, because this one was of 50 million euros. For information, Google make an appeal, formed an appeal against this decision, and the judge, the Council of State in France, the State Council in France, by decision confirmed the sanctions pronounced by the CNIL. And whatever, since this decision, you have about 20, 30 sanctions imposed each year by the CNIL, 20 to 30 sanctions imposed by the CNIL every year. Of course, you have some special amounts. As an example, in 2021, Facebook was condemned to pay a penalty of 60 million. More, you have concerning France, always Google one more time. Google was condemned to a penalty of 150 million fine. 150 million fine, and more in this decision of 2031, December of 2021, you had an injunction to modify, and there was a penalty of 100,000 euros, injunction to modify, and penalty of 100,000 euros per day, after a period of 3 months. So in this decision, it was an important decision with 150 million fine and injunction to modify, and penalty of 100,000 euros per day after a period of 3 months. You had since this time some important decision. As an example, the heaviest sanctions are not imposed by French national authority, by the CNIL. The heaviest sanctions imposed was in Ireland. The Data Protection Commission, so the National Irish Supervisory Authority, took a decision in 2022. It took a decision against Meta, so Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, of 405 million euros fine. 405 million euros fine. Same thing with an Italian decision against TikTok, but at this time, the highest GDPR fine to date, of 746 million euros. 746 million euros. Imposed by the National Authority of Luxembourg, National Authority of Luxembourg, against Amazon. against Amazon. In order to explain this decision, this amount in dollars, to make you understand that this amount is about is next to $1 billion of penalty. And in this time, $1 billion of penalty, it can be it's a real it's a real effective penalty and real dissuasive penalty, of course. This amount is incredible. As you know, as you can know that Amazon appealed this decision, and in March of this year, in March of 2025, the Luxembourg Administrative Tribunal, decided to reject Amazon's appeal, and confirm the initial decision of National Luxembourg Authority, Do you have any question on it? We have finished the first station. Do you have any question about this point of view, this point? If not, I can announce the section 2 now. Section 2, thank you for your answer. Seen in the chat. Section 2, the national regime of judicial sanctions after the European regime of administrative sanctions. Now, the question of national regime. In this point of view, I will talk only about French law, of course, but you have something similar in all the country of the EU, because of course the data subject can make some procedures to defend the rights of data protection. There is 2 points on this national regime. The first point is the question of the civil liability regime, and later, and not today, of course, we'll talk about the criminal regime. So, of course, I will not begin this point now. I know it's late, less late, of course, than previous week, because it's not 21 for you at this time. But I'm gonna finish for today. If you have any question, ask me now, of course, or you can ask me by mail, or if you need, maybe I'm gonna write you on the chat by mail if you have not noticed it, because it was easy. Please don't write me each one, because and maybe group the question. Okay, you have my mail address on the chat for all your needs. Maybe make some points together in order to send me questions. Do you have any question now? Okay, perfect. Thank you for. Yes.
Sorry, Then for the question, since we have in call that possible to create a note or Google Docs. If anyone the question, then they can drop there and you can answer.
Okay,
where
good.
convenient.
It's a good idea. You can put all of them in only one document to send me the questions, of course. Okay. It's finished for today. For this evening, good evening. Maybe soon good night for you. I have to manage with the afternoon, but. The day is long because I am jet lagging, of course, and I am like you. I was wake up like you, in fact, but it was the night here when I was wake up. So I see you in two weeks' time, and don't hesitate to send me picture as Vichet Hush told you at the same times. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Professor.
Yes, thank you, Professor. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.